I'll never be able to express how funny this movie is.
Just what you've been waiting for. Movies, TV, music, and more. Follow, subscribe, stay up to date. Episodes drop every other Monday. It's the man, watch that. It's the man, watch that. It's the man, watch that podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Matt Watch That podcast, the place for reviews, rants, and randomness. I'm your host, Matt Seroski, filmmaker, film fan. Each episode, I'm going to watch a movie or TV pilot that I probably should have seen but never got around to. It could be a recent favorite, critic's choice, or cult classic. To join in on the conversation, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've discussed or suggestions as to what I should see next, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Before we start, I've always loved Warner Brothers Studios. The Shield logo is iconic. It's seen in most of the Looney Tunes cartoons I watched growing up. It's also responsible for Batman, The Goonies, Blade Runner, Gremlins, Lethal Weapon, and in more recent times, the Harry Potter franchise. We can talk about DC, but do you really wanna? But after the merger with Discovery, and under the leadership of CEO David Zaslav, I'm not sure why anyone in the entertainment industry would want to work with that studio. And it honestly hurts me to say that. For those unaware of what's been going on, Warner Brothers Discovery has been shelving fully produced movies in favor of writing them off for tax purposes. These include the animated films Scoob, Holiday Haunt, live-action animation Hybrid, Coyote vs. Acme, and live-action spin-off Batgirl. By writing off these movies, the company will only get about half of the production costs back. And they refuse the option of selling the assets to another company, because how would it look if the movies they rejected does gangbusters on Netflix or Prime Video? Now, they're not the only studio to use this practice, but they seem to have perfected it. Universal buried the musical comedy Larrikins, Netflix shelved sci-fi flick The Mothership, so I hope this isn't becoming industry standard. But what I don't understand is why the creatives who work tirelessly on these projects are the ones getting punished. If an executive greenlit the project and it doesn't meet the expectations of the company, isn't it their fault? You either have bad taste or weren't sufficiently managing the project to reach the desired outcome. So why are these executives getting $30 to $40 million in compensation packages for their poor decisions? Now, fortunately, there has been industry pushback. The cast and crew of Coyote vs. Acme are pressuring Warner Brothers Discovery to find another outlet, but WB seems determined to permanently delete the film, so it doesn't have a chance to leak and will literally never see the light of day. We'll see what the outcome is, but this is what happens when you put business people in charge of a creative industry. It's all about the numbers, the metrics, the shareholders. It's not about the filmmakers, and it's certainly not about the fans. On to the main attraction. Each review will end with a ranking out of 5 stars. 1 star is skip it, 2 stars watch at your own risk, 3 stars standard fare, 4 stars worth checking out, and 5 stars must see. Now, if I give a title 5 stars, it doesn't mean I'm comparing it to Casablanca, Jaws, or Seinfeld. I rank titles based on other movies or TV series in that genre and at that time period. On this episode of the podcast, I'll be reviewing Deadwood from 2004. The pilot was directed by Walter Hill, who helmed crime drama The Warriors, buddy cop film 48 Hours, and regular old comedy Brewster's Millions. He was also a producer on the Alien franchise and the horror series Tales from the Crypt. He won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Miniseries for Broken Trail and Outstanding Directing for a Drama Series for Deadwood. The script was written by David Milch, who scribed episodes of Hill Street Blues and Brooklyn South. He was the creator of Deadwood and of police procedural NYPD Blue, which ran for 12 seasons, 261 episodes. It stars Ian McShane as rogue criminal and gem saloon proprietor, Al Swearingen. He studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts and was classmates with Anthony Hopkins and John Hurt. He started out his career as a romantic lead throughout the 60s and 70s, but his breakthrough would be on the series Lovejoy as the titular character, based on the popular novels by John Grant. It ran for 6 seasons, 71 episodes from 1986 to 1994. He also released a studio album of cover songs called From Both Sides Now. He was well known internationally and had a highly successful 40-year career before becoming an overnight sensation on Deadwood. He's since gone on to lend his voice to animated films Shrek the Third, Kung Fu Panda, and Coraline. He's also appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean, On Stranger Tides, Hercules, Hellboy, and the John Wick franchise. The ensemble cast also features Justified lead Timothy Olyphant as Seth Bullock, Lost in Space star Molly Parker as Alma Garrett, Jim Beaver of Supernatural fame as Whitney Ellsworth, the voice of Chucky, Brad Dourif as Doc Cochran, John Hawkes from The Sessions as Solomon Starr, and Paula Malcolmson from the Hunger Games franchise as Trixie. This is something to look out for. The set for Main Street was reused in the movie Django Unchained, and another HBO series, Westworld. So let's jump into it. Marshal Seth Bullock plans on traveling to Deadwood, South Dakota, to open a hardware business with his partner Solomon Starr. On his last night in Montana, he brings out a prisoner to face his posse, and before turning over his badge, publicly hangs the man. Bullock and Starr travel to Deadwood. The town is bustling due to the amount of gold found in them hills, nuggets so large you can scoop from the streams with your bare hands. They rent a lot for $20 a day from Mr. Al Swearingen, the owner of the Gem Saloon, a bar and brothel. An English immigrant raised in a Chicago orphanage, he's lived in the town since its inception and is a notable and powerful figure. When Wild Bill Hickok arrives in Deadwood, with his entourage of Charlie Utter and Calamity Jane, the town residents are abuzz by the famed gunfighter. Here's a quote without context. "I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, but I enjoy the way you lie." Deadwood was a disappointing pilot. It didn't feel like a cohesive storyline, only an introduction to the principal characters, and a strong first episode includes a balance of both. I've mentioned before how I think The Wonder Years, Home Improvement, and Stranger Things,
Inevitable Stranger Things.
All right, let's go, have close to perfect pilots. Any series creator should watch those. That's not to say that the episode was undeserving. The cinematography is top-notch. It has the look and feel of classic westerns, with a slightly modern edge. The performances are effective, and the actors fully embody their characters. The costumes are great. There was one scene in particular where the makeup and effects shined, and could make the faint at heart a little queasy. Now, it's not a politically correct series, but neither was The Old West. People were too worried about dying from an ingrown toenail to consider wokeness. There was a lot of violence, physical abuse toward women, discriminatory language, so be forewarned if you get triggered. Oh yeah, lots of gunplay too. Now for a little trivial trivia. If you're not a fan of saucy language, this show might not be for you. The F word is uttered 51 times in the pilot episode alone, and that doesn't stand for fudge. Deadwood was produced by Paramount Network Television and Home Box Office. The series was filmed at Melody Ranch in Newhall, California, as well as San Gabriel River, Santa Clarita, and Frazier Park, also in California. The cinematography was captured by Lloyd Ahern II, whose filmography includes rom-com Can't Hardly Wait, family sports comedy Kicking and Screaming, and episodes of the mystery series Devious Maids. He was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Cinematography for a miniseries or movie for Broken Trail. It was edited by Freeman A. Davis, who worked on sci-fi adventure Logan's Run, thriller sequel Jaws 2, and boxing comedy The Main Event. He was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Single Camera Picture Editing for a miniseries or movie for Broken Trail Part 2. The theme music was written by David Schwartz, best known for Arrested Development, Beverly Hills 90210, and Northern Exposure. The score was composed by Michael Brook, who wrote the music for Environmental Doc, An Inconvenient Truth, Biography, Into the Wild, and sports drama The Fighter. He would return to series composition for The Fosters and spin-off Good Trouble. The runtime is 1 hour 2 minutes, with subsequent episodes running at an average of 55 minutes. Over its run, the show received 36 Primetime Emmy Award nominations, winning 8. On the Ski Index, I give it 3 out of 5 stars. Not a strong beginning, but it's a highly regarded show, so I want to give it another shot. The series was on for 3 seasons, 36 episodes from 2004 to 2006. The residents of Deadwood would have their story continue with Deadwood the movie in 2019, which reunited the majority of the main ensemble cast. If you've seen Deadwood and have opinions on the series, let me know what you think using the hashtag #MattWatchThat. Moving right along, each episode, I'm going to post clips that I think people should watch. It could be movie trailers, music videos, interviews, or something completely random. Search for my YouTube page and there will be a playlist called Matt Watch That Playback. Variety Studio, Actors on Actors, is an entertainment show where actors interview other actors about their process and signature roles. While this sounds eye-roll-inducing, I've always found these conversations to be highly informative about an occupation that is often misunderstood. I think the majority of people are under the impression that the acting profession is easy, and anyone can do it. But that's far from the truth. It takes a lot of talent to achieve success and make a living from. During the actors' strike, the multimillionaires weren't fighting for themselves. They were trying to be the voice for the actors who live paycheck to paycheck. Why do you think some character actors have 300 credits to their name? Those parts aren't paying the bills. But most of all, it takes a lot of dedication to stay motivated. Bryce Dallas Howard was told by her grandmother that it takes an average of 64 auditions before landing a role. That's the average for a working actor. She landed her first role, The Village, on her 48th audition. Her agent was surprised by her stick-to-itiveness, because most actors would have quit after that many rejections. And she's a third-generation actor, and still had to fight for those parts. So just imagine regular people without connections trying to get into the business. I've mentioned before that I've taken acting classes, so I have a true appreciation for the work that goes into breaking down a script, developing a character, figuring out their emotional state in a scene, especially when it's not shot in chronological order, and just the sheer pressure of memorizing lines. And I'm not even taking into account skill building. Ansel Elgort studied how to speak fluent Japanese to star in the series Tokyo Vice. Joseph Gordon-Levitt learned tightrope walking for his role in The Walk. He also had to learn French. Margot Robbie was trained to perform ice skating spins, jumps, and combinations from 1998 gold medal Olympian Tara Lipinski for I, Tonya. And this isn't at their leisure. It's like, we're shooting in 6 weeks, be proficient. The series has been on for 18 seasons, 62 episodes. It's produced by PBS SoCal and Variety Media. I've selected a couple of my favorite interviews. They're long form, so make sure you block out some time for these fascinating conversations on the art of acting. They're all available in the Matt Watch That Playback playlist on YouTube. Check it out. Now it's time for the recommendation. Yes, that's the word recommendation with Matt in the middle. I'm going to end each podcast with my own recommendation of a movie or TV series. Today I'm talking about Major League. Spring training is coming to a close, and the baseball season is just around the corner, so I wanted to highlight my favorite sports flick and the best movie about America's pastime. It tells the story of Vegas showgirl Rachel Phelps, who inherits the Cleveland Indians from her late husband, and wants to enact a clause in the contract that stipulates if the attendance falls to dismal levels, she can relocate the team to another city. She has her eye on Miami and plans to assemble a team made of rookies and players past their prime in the hopes to tank the season. But when the ragtag squad learns of her scheme, they vow to spoil her dreams by turning the season around and winning the division. It was written and directed by David S. Ward, who helmed King Ralph, the program, and Down Periscope, and scribed The Sting, Sleepless in Seattle, and Flyboys. It stars Tom Berenger as veteran catcher Jake Taylor, Charlie Sheen as hard-throwing rookie pitcher Ricky Vaughn, Corbin Burnson as pretty boy third baseman Roger Dorn, Dennis Haysbert as power bat Pedro Serrano, Wesley Snipes as speedster Willie Mays Hayes, and James Gammon as grizzled manager Lou Brown. It also features Rene Russo as Jake Taylor's ex, Lynn Westland, Margaret Whitten as Cleveland owner, and the highlight of the movie, Bob Uecker as sports announcer Harry Doyle. It's not much of a stretch, as he's been calling play-by-play for the Milwaukee Brewers since 1971. I'll never be able to express how funny this movie is. It's got amazing one-liners that all sportscasters will reference. If a pitcher throws a wide ball, just a bit outside. I mean, there are too numerous to mention, and everyone loves a good underdog story. And this was at a time when Cleveland wasn't exactly the best ball club. I think each actor fit the parts perfectly, and it just has that rewatchability factor. You could see it 50 times and you'll still laugh at the same jokes. And I still get goosebumps when they first take the field for the division series. The score, the electricity from the crowd, it's palpable. You could feel it. Now, it is a little outdated. Obviously, Cleveland is now called the Guardians, and at that time, there was no team in Miami yet. And just by the by, if I owned a team, I would want it to be the Miami Marlins, so I don't blame Rachel Phelps for that. I would reverse all the decisions that wet towel Derek Jeter made to the organization. I'd bring back the home run statue, that gaudy monstrosity, the fish tanks behind home plate, and the 74 uniform combinations from the 2012 season. I loved those uniforms. So over the years, there have been so many great baseball movies. Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, Moneyball, but Major League tops my list. That's all for this edition of Matt Watch That. Thanks for listening to me babble. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've discussed or suggestions as to what movie or TV pilot I should see, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Head over to mattseroski.com for all the latest news and updates, and come back next time for the reviews, rants, and randomness. Ansel Elgort studied how to speak fluent Spanish. Nope, wrong language. He's lived in the town since its inception. Charlie Sheen as hard-throwing rookie pitcher Vicky Vaughn. Oof.